The phone shattered the quiet like glass breaking under a boot. Evelyn didn't move at first. She was sitting at her kitchen table, half a cup of cold coffee in her hand, pretending the silence was peace. But then came the voice, urgent, clinical, saying her son's name. The world went narrow. Noah collapsed, unconscious, emergency contact. The words struck harder than the years between them. She told herself she was done waiting for him to call. But the body doesn't listen to pride. Her heart was already halfway out the door before her mind caught up. Every step she took after that felt like penance. Keys shaking, rain starting, breath held. Somewhere between the thunder and the sirens, she whispered his name again, and it tasted like regret. What happens when the person who swore he didn't need you anymore becomes the one whose life you're rushing to save? What does forgiveness sound like after years of silence? And how much love can a mother hide before it drowns her? The hospital smelled of antiseptic and fear. Evelyn walked fast, pretending she knew where she was going. The nurse's voice barely reached her over the sound of her own pulse. Ross. Noah Ross. Each syllable carved something open. She'd imagined this moment 1,000 ways, everyone ending with him turning away. But now, he couldn't. She stopped at the doorway. Machines hummed softly. The boy who once slammed doors and shouted, "You'll never need me again," now lay motionless, pale against white sheets. Tubes and monitors whispered his weakness. Evelyn's hand lifted, then fell back to her side. Dr. Lila Chen entered quietly, clipboard in hand. "He's stable," she said softly. Evelyn turned. Recognition flickered. "Old friend, old comfort. How long?" Evelyn asked. "Too long," Lila said. "But he's lucky you answered." Evelyn sat beside her son's bed, hands folded like prayer. She whispered things he couldn't hear. Half apology, half memory. The rain outside softened into silence. Somewhere deep down, a mother's vow stirred. She wouldn't leave this time. Not again. Evelyn hadn't slept. The plastic chair beneath her had molded to her shape. Every beep, every sigh of the machine became a heartbeat she no longer trusted. When Noah stirred for the first time, her breath caught like a door slamming. He blinked, eyes glassy, confusion fogging the edges of recognition. "Mom?" The word was fragile, like glass lifted from water. She didn't answer right away. Her throat had forgotten how to hold his name without trembling. Noah blinked toward the ceiling. His voice was low, slurred with medication and shame. "You didn't have to come." Evelyn's laugh was hollow. "You collapsed, Noah. You didn't give me much of a choice." He turned his face away. "Still think I can fix everything myself." Her hands clenched. She wanted to say so many things. How she'd prayed for him every night. How she hated him for his silence. But instead, she just whispered, "You're still breathing." "That's enough for now." Dr. Lila Chen entered quietly, clipboard in hand. "He's recovering well," she said, scanning Noah's vitals. Evelyn stood. "What happened?" "Severe exhaustion. Malnutrition. Stress," Lila said, glancing between them. "He's been pushing himself too hard for too long." Evelyn's eyes found Noah's, and for the first time, his pride flickered. Guilt blooming where defiance once lived. Later, Evelyn stepped outside the ward. The hallway buzzed with lives moving forward. She pressed her forehead against the cold wall, eyes shut. Marcus Hale's voice startled her. A familiar one from years of factory shifts. "Didn't think I'd see you here," he said softly, holding 2 coffees. She half smiled, half cried. "Didn't think I'd need to be." He handed her the cup. "We all end up where we swore we wouldn't." That night, the rain returned. Evelyn sat again by Noah's side, the storm whispering through the glass. He slept soundly this time. She reached out. Let her fingers brush the edge of his blanket. "You don't have to fix everything alone," she murmured. Outside, lightning fractured the sky, like truth trying to break through. She didn't know yet that his silence was heavier than pride. It was hiding something much worse. Morning came without mercy. The blinds filtered thin light over Noah's face, revealing more truth than either of them could stand. He was awake, alert, and angry. "You shouldn't have come," he muttered, voice rough with exhaustion. Evelyn stared at him. "And if I hadn't?" He didn't answer. The silence was a wound reopening, years of pride bleeding through the air between them. "You think walking away made you strong," she said quietly. All it made was distance. He looked away, eyes burning. "And you think staying made you right?" Dr. Lila Chen entered just in time to stop the words from breaking into something louder. "Let's keep his heart rate down," she said gently, looking between them. Evelyn sank back, breathing through her teeth. Lila placed a hand on Noah's wrist. "You've both been carrying too much weight. Maybe it's time to set some down." Noah looked at her, almost pleading. "How do you forgive someone who never said they were sorry?" Evelyn's voice trembled. "Maybe you start by remembering why you loved them before you forgot how." Later, when Lila left, the quiet felt heavier than words. Noah whispered, "I didn't want you to see me like this." Evelyn's voice cracked. "You think I only wanted to see you when you were winning?" His lip trembled, pride giving way to something raw. "I didn't want to be your burden." She leaned closer. "You were never my burden, Noah. You were my reason to survive." Marcus arrived quietly that evening, holding a paper bag of food she hadn't asked for. "Figured you'd forget to eat," he said. Evelyn smiled weakly. "You always figure right." He glanced toward Noah. "He's strong, takes after someone." Her eyes glistened. "Maybe too much after me." Marcus's voice softened. "That's not the worst thing to be." That night, Noah couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, listening to the rhythmic hiss of oxygen and rain outside. "Mom?" he whispered. Evelyn stirred from the chair. "Yeah?" He hesitated, then said it so softly it almost vanished. "I'm scared." She rose, sat beside him, and took his hand. Finally, without fear. "Then we'll be scared together." Outside, the rain slowed, as if the sky itself exhaled. 2 weeks later, the hospital smell had followed them home. The apartment felt smaller than she remembered, every wall humming with memories. Evelyn unpacked Noah's medications onto the kitchen counter while he stood by the doorway, awkward in his own childhood home. "Didn't think I'd ever come back here," he muttered. Evelyn didn't look up. "Me neither." The words hung there, half truth, half surrender. Some silences grow comfortable, others grow teeth. She cooked the way she always did. Too much food, too much quiet. Noah sat at the table, fingers tracing the rim of his plate. "Do you still work at the factory?" he asked. "Yeah," she said. "Night shifts? Someone's got to keep the lights on." He hesitated. "You didn't have to." Her eyes flicked up. "I did. You just weren't here to see it." The words landed heavy. He nodded, swallowing shame instead of food. Later, Noah wandered into the living room. The walls were lined with photos. His first bike, graduation, the two of them on a beach long ago. Dust framed their smiles. Evelyn found him staring. "You used to hate that picture." He smirked faintly. "I was sunburned." Her laugh cracked something open. For a moment they were just mother and son again, before time and pride rewrote them. Outside, the evening turned to rain again. Evelyn stepped onto the balcony, the city humming below. She lit a cigarette she didn't finish. Noah joined her, pulling his hoodie tighter. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked quietly. "Which part?" she said. "All of it," she exhaled, watching the smoke vanish into the night. "Regret's a luxury I couldn't afford," he nodded, tears hiding in the rain. That night, thunder rolled in. The apartment went dark for a moment before the generator kicked in. Evelyn found Noah in his old room, sitting on the floor, head in his hands. "I don't know how to start over," he said. She knelt beside him, her hand on his shoulder. "You don't. You just keep going, one breath at a time." Lightning flashed, and for the first time, neither of them flinched. The storm had not stopped by morning. It crawled across the city like unfinished grief. Evelyn stood by the sink, hands submerged in soapy water, eyes unfocused. Noah's voice came from behind her. "I found the letter." Her body froze. She turned slowly. "What letter?" "The one from Dad." "The one you never gave me." Her breath faltered. The truth she'd buried years ago had finally clawed its way to the surface. Evelyn dried her hands slowly, the towel shaking. "He left that for you before he went," she whispered. "You said he didn't care." "He didn't until he did," she said, voice cracking. "He was dying, Noah. I thought I was protecting you." Noah stepped closer, eyes glistening. "You were protecting yourself." Her silence was confirmation enough. Evelyn sank into a chair. "He was never coming back. I couldn't let you wait for a ghost." Noah's voice broke. "You decided that for me." She met his eyes, raw, red, unguarded. "You were 8. I had to decide everything." He turned away, his hand trembling against the doorframe. "Mom," he whispered. "All I wanted was the truth." Evelyn's face softened into surrender. "Then here it is. It broke me too." The thunder softened into a steady hum. Evelyn walked to the living room and picked up a photo. Noah, age 10, holding a paper airplane. She handed it to him. "I spent years trying to make you strong," she said. "But maybe what you needed was to see me break." He looked down at the picture, his breath unsteady. "You did." "I just wasn't brave enough to notice." For the first time, the silence between them felt like forgiveness. That night, Evelyn sat by Noah's door. She listened to him breathe. Steady now. The storm had passed. She whispered into the dark, not for him to hear, but for herself. "I didn't hide the truth because I didn't love you. I hid it because I didn't think love would be enough." Inside, Noah stirred, eyes open, listening. Neither spoke again, but somehow both finally understood. Morning found them both changed. The air was still heavy, but something inside it had eased. Noah sat at the kitchen table, sunlight cutting through his hair in streaks of quiet gold. Evelyn poured coffee, the smell mixing with the faint dampness from last night's storm. "I'm sorry," he said suddenly. Her hand stopped midair. "For what? For leaving like that? For thinking I was stronger without you?" She smiled faintly, voice trembling. "And I'm sorry for pretending I didn't need you to come back." Later, they sat on the couch. Two survivors of different storms. Noah leaned back, rubbing the scars on his wrist that no one else knew were there. Evelyn noticed but said nothing. "Mom," he said quietly, "I thought if I left I could outrun the parts of you I hated." "And?" she asked softly. He sighed. "Turns out I was just running from myself." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then stop running. I'm still right here." Dr. Lila Chen stopped by for a home visit, her clipboard tucked beneath her arm. "You look better," she said to Noah. He smirked faintly. "I have a decent nurse now." Evelyn rolled her eyes, smiling despite herself. Lila watched them quietly, something gentle in her gaze. "Healing's not just the body," she said. "It's the space between hearts that forgot how to talk." For once, no one disagreed. That evening, Evelyn returned to the factory for her first night back. The machines roared. their rhythm familiar and merciless. Marcus Hale appeared at her side, wiping grease from his hands. "Feels strange, doesn't it?" he asked. "Like nothing ever changed," she said. He studied her face. "You did." She gave a small smile. "Maybe that's enough." When she got home, the apartment was dark except for the lamp near Noah's chair. He'd fallen asleep with an open notebook on his lap. Words filled the page. Uneven, honest, alive. She read the first line. "Sometimes it takes breaking to remember who held you together." Evelyn smiled, touched his shoulder gently, and turned off the light. For the first time in years, the darkness didn't feel like loss. It felt like rest. Spring came softly. The city shed its gray, and so did they. Noah walked slower now, still weak, but steadier. Evelyn matched his pace, carrying the grocery bag he pretended wasn't heavy. "You don't have to come with me every time," he said. She smiled. "I missed too many walks already." The breeze carried their laughter down the street, small, unpolished, real. For the first time, the silence between them wasn't broken. It was full. At home, Noah sat at the table with his notebook. Pages filled with fragments, poems, letters, confessions he never sent. Evelyn watched him write, her hands busy, sewing a torn sleeve. He looked up. "You ever think we could have done it differently?" She met his eyes. "Maybe. But then we wouldn't know what it takes to forgive." He nodded, a small smile tracing the corner of his mouth. "Then, maybe this is enough." Dr. Lila Chen visited one last time. Noah stood tall when she checked his vitals, his color back, his pulse strong. "You're ready," she said, smiling. Evelyn looked at her son, pride flickering like sunlight on water. Lila glanced between them. "You both are." For once, no one needed words to agree. Evening came with the scent of rain again, but this time it was gentle. They sat by the open window, watching droplets trace lazy paths down the glass. "You ever wonder," Noah said, "why life waits until we're breaking to show us what matters?" Evelyn took a slow sip of tea. "Maybe that's the only time we're quiet enough to listen." Their reflections shimmered side by side in the window pane, two souls finally learning how to stay. Dawn broke clear and clean. Evelyn stood by the balcony, the city still half asleep. Behind her, Noah packed a small duffel, ready to start again, but not to leave. He stepped out beside her. "You'll be okay," she nodded. "Always have been." He smiled, pulling her into a quiet hug. As sunlight spilled over them, Evelyn closed her eyes. The world had broken her once, but now, standing beside the son who came back, she realized healing wasn't about going back. It was about choosing to stay.